Hello everybody, it's Graham here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to Living Through Cancer. This is episode 7. So, where were we last time? We were talking about the biopsy and getting prepared for it, and going through that emotional state of thinking, we're now into that next stage, and I already knew the results of the first scan were going to be told to me after the biopsy. So there was a meeting scheduled with the senior physician to talk about exactly where the cancer was and what it was doing, and they were obviously then going to tell me whether it's T2, T3 or T4. But before I start and before I go in, I want to give a big shout out to Movember. It's Movember. That's all about men's well-being, mental health, and obviously prostate and suicide in men. So a big shout out. I did do a bit of an appeal out there on the community of LinkedIn, which I've been a member of for many years. I've got a lot of close friends and associates who are obviously members of the LinkedIn. It's a professional platform. And I also want to say thank you so much for the very wonderful comments that came back. It meant an awful lot for me, and it also endorsed me to carry on and tell the story that I'm going through. Bear in mind, it's just my story. It's just my feelings, my mental health, and what I consider to be a huge change in my life. Not just my life, but my family's life. What I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and how I structure myself going forward. Anyway, a big thank you to everybody. And it's very much appreciated. Right, the day of the biopsy. I do recall getting up quite early on that day. Same routine, breakfast, getting Morgan off to school, and then it's just me and my wife and my thoughts and our thoughts, talking about our current state we're in. Still dealing with that raw emotion of the uncertainty of what's next, the steps that we were going to. Already processing the first scan, or what information I had from the first scan. Everything was still very much, what if, what do we do if it's that, where do we go from there? But let's be very clear. One thing you have to do is always stay positive. Have that positive mindset that you're going to go through it and you're going to get there. And then once you establish all the information, and then you can make very defining steps to move forward in your life. I'm not saying that's what I did. There was little bouts of panic and things like that. So we got to the hospital and found the hospitals are huge. Found the department I had to go to, and sat in the waiting room with my wife, and there was an eerie silence about the whole thing. There was the receptionist in front of us, gave us a lovely welcome, had to fill in the forms, sat down, and at the back of my mind I always knew what the procedure was going to be. I knew what was coming up, and I tried to distract myself from it, and that was about talking. There was an elderly couple opposite us, and her husband had already gone through, and we struck up a conversation. We were talking about the effects of what it was having on everybody, and I'm talking about prostate cancer. I was talking about the coronavirus and all these other things that were going on in our lives, and that just seemed to pass the time quite quickly. And then before I know it, this couple, her husband, dear old lady, husband, walked out like he'd just got off a horse. He was in a gown, and it was a case of, he was a little bit bowed leg, and that was because of the procedure, obviously, And he came and sat down, and he said, "Well, you're next, boy." I still remember that. So you're next, boy, and he was given a cup of coffee and or a cup of tea, I think he was, and he had a biscuit with it, and then my name was called, and that was it. And so the journey began. This was, reality had set in, and it was a case of, this is the real first. I know I had the scan before, but this was crunch time. This was going in there, and I'm not going to describe. I'm not going to go into that fact of describing the whole procedure, but what they do is they basically take samples, very small samples of the prostate, and certainly where they can see the affected area, and it's painless. It's not an enjoyable thing because you are very exposed. You're very vulnerable, and you're in the hands of people who understand their job very, very well and do it very, very well. But it's the more the fear factor. That's all it is. It's the fear factor of lying on a table, in a position where people are working at behind the scenes, so to speak, and you're the information that comes out of that is going to determine how you move forward. So that carried on for about 20 minutes. They took the samples. All the area down there was numbed, so it was very painless. And I had a person next to me holding my hand and asking me, questions about my life, which again distracted me from what was going on at the back. And it was over before I knew it. So all that, reservations and the unknown of having this, it was over before it started. But it was another thing I can tick off then, you see. It was there was going to be another release information from that. What happened after I'd done that, and they stitched me up a little stitch, and they pad you up, and you wear these fancy knickers to hold everything together, and then you go off, get changed. I didn't get changed, actually. Sat down and had a cup of tea and a biscuit, and with the knowledge that I was going to get called back within about 10 minutes after I've settled everything down, and they were going to talk to me and show me exactly in high definition the previous results of the scan before. Now, I didn't know that was going to happen. I knew they were going to tell me something, but I didn't know I was going to see in high definition exactly the affected areas, and also what was going to be the next steps after that. That was quite jarring, and that was a wall. That was a realization that you have landed, and this is the start of it. Sat me down, went in, and she was an absolutely wonderful person. I don't know why people get upset about the NHS, but they were fantastic at what they did. I'm going to tell you the conversation, because I don't want to drag on. I'm going to tell you the conversation in the next episode, because I need to talk about it in detail. So I'm going to pause here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying it. And if there is anyone out there who's really, this is helping them, keep on tuning in, because there's a whole load of issues up there and in my body that can help people who are starting their journey halfway through, or they know somebody who's having this journey. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.